differences between organic farming and not organic farming. Make around with a fabric sphere. Here's a wheelbarrow machine. We have here 6 types. So this is why we can say that the rock tea is really rock tea. And here we see this trolley. Son. So we're now on one of our old suppliers' factory, trying some black tea. Black tea made from oolong varieties. The season already started, and here we have some challenge in selecting the best one. And also this is Basian oolong. We just do it on a run because now the factory is still preparing for today, harvesting a big amount of tea, and the owner is a bit busy, and we took some tea to try. Maybe we select one red tea out of 3 types because it's quite good quality stuff. The technology, it's a huge factory, but as soon as you have good technology, the size, you still produce a lot of tea, but also in good quality tea. It's not fully organic one, so this can work for other markets, not for European market, I think, because it's a big volume stuff. Later today we'll go for wild tea, but on a different spot. So we just drink fast this stuff and run. My collection of a little bit freaked out farmers. I for sure will add one more now in Annecy, and also here one farmer who have few thousand hectares actually tea plantations. He decided one plot of land, pretty big. This is only 6 mu, so it's about half of hectare, but still something. This tea he will harvest from one period of time only 100 zin of fresh leaf, so it will be maybe 20-30 kg only of ready-made tea, but this for us is good. It will be a limited batch of Mei Zhan. Quite essential to have such a wild bushes. We already have a similar Mei Zhan. I just filmed in Nanjing when we was in southern Fujian recently. Yeah, but now we have this very special Mei Zhan. You see all the leaves eaten by bugs and so on. So it means that tea need to fight all the bugs, because also imagine if surrounded by regular plantations. You can see for comparison, this is Guan. This is for sure uses some fertilizers to spray, but here a special divided line to avoid the sprayed tea somehow affect the organic plantation, so it's nearby. It's not certified organic, it's just clean. And that's already for 10 years he don't do any kind of fertilizing. Yeah, so that's interesting, and also interesting terroir, because yeah, here we have some forests a little bit. Still it's a little bit more aggressive agriculture comparing to wild tea trees in Yunnan or in Guangdong, northern Guangdong, southern Fujian border. Here's Anxi County is also famous for its very aggressive agriculture. This is why tea Guanyin also now it's not super popular tea. 5-7 years ago it was really devastating. It drops price. Now they try to find more ways how to grow more organic. This is why many farmers also switch to this kind of approach, sometimes not fully, and it's still rare to see like something like that. And it's also don't clean it yet, so he will clean it up, and we will see what will come out. Now we on the top of the mountain, and here a lot of the trees, especially grown to protect the soil, protect the hills and the water, actually water source, because as soon as before, many farmers, not only in China, in many other countries, they just cut down all the trees, grow some crops, and after the earth slides, and also no water, and also it affects a lot the environment and the communities and small villages, and all the rural activities quite drops in such areas. So later on, all the practices are changed, and not only here in Anxi County, but all across China, and not only China, for sure other countries too. So everywhere where the hills, for sure on the top of the hill, you need to protect the forest environment. And even before, if they cut down the forest, now they grow it back already for a couple of decades. So this may be more than 10 years ago, grown some trees. And also you can see on other hills also there is a forest, and more than half of the top of the hill is a forest. Still a little bit of tea plantations too, but much less than in the bottom of the hill. On the top of the hill, mostly forests. And also you can, from here you can see the browse all the area. Mostly it's greener area, not so much plantations. And this is quite uncommon for Anxi County and generally for Fujian, because in Yunnan you can arrive and you can see a lot of old trees, but in Fujian before it was almost impossible to find. And now it's a lot of job to find these kind of farmers who grow organic or grow sustainable, or at least not fertilize the bushes. But more and more people see, okay, we can sell the tea for different price, and we can have some difference from all the millions of tons of tea produced here. And for sure this is brings a significant input, and they really want to switch from that kind of approach. You can even see here the plot of land in between the forest. There actually was tea plantation, but you see it's now just a green grass. And this green grass actually is also Mei Zhan variety. For second year already they start growing only without any fertilizers, just let it grow. And some grass over there, and we will want to keep it wild for a couple of years, and after have more sustainable tea. I really appreciate so much such approach, and hopefully it will be spread across China, not only here. So because for so many years everyone say like, okay, Anxi is like a most polluted area and so on and so on. There was some Japanese research about tea guanyin, like it's so much fertilizers and so on and so on. And nowadays it's all changing back. That's great. This is how looks Bai Shan. Bai Shan variety is one of Zedrun variety of Anxi County in Fujian province, and this is for 30 years no one cut down, no one trimmed it, and it's just wild grown, beautiful tea tree almost we can say, and they have some amount of those, like a few lines for a couple hundreds of meters, I think. So it's quite something, and now it's already gives some bud, and later we will process some wild Bai Shan variety from these trees. I really appreciate it. You see a lot of insects also chew the leaves, so no one fertilize it, no one do something. How people locally say, it means that this tea garden, no one actually care about it, let it grow. And this is how it looks like. Absolutely amazing tea. This is tea guanyin, and this tea guanyin is not fertilized for 10 years, not trimmed for 10 years, and it's fully organic plantation of tea guanyin. I think you've never seen it before, because it's quite unusual, especially for the region. But this originally the guy from Taiwan from 90s over here, and he's just producing tea. So that's great. And this is great garden.
但是我这个茶就是我平时在泡的，不是说特别。人一定要喝好茶，你才知道什么叫好茶。这个是07年，这个01年。
01年、07年。We arrived in Fujian. We're now in Fujian, and here is Xi County, and here's the harvesting the tea for the farmers for Gaba. So this is also oolong tea processing. This is Mei Zhan variety, and from Mei Zhan variety they process Gaba tea. This is all hand-picked, which is quite rare for Fujian province, but here they use only hand-picked tea. Here we can say again the example of differences between organic farming and not organic farming. Here's a plantation which is prepared to be cleaned, and it's organic plantation. You can see there's a lot of bushes and a lot of grass and everything because no glyphosate used. And you see some bushes a little bit old, and crops, not so much crops. It grows much slower than not organic plantation. And also a lot of bugs eating leaves and so on. This is really easy to see because as soon as you use any kind of pesticides and especially herbicides, you can't have so much of grass. And this all manually cleaned. Also we see, if we look a little bit down there, over there, you can see that it's all not yet fully cleaned, so a lot of work to do. And we can easily, because here we have a plantation near of neighbor who actually grow not organic stuff. You can easily see the difference. Here you can see it's quite easy to see. And it's very dry, and there are no any kind of grass. So it's glyphosate earth. It looks like this. And this is a Shou cultivar. It's kind of good cultivar, but you can see how fast it grows. There are pesticides. And this is actually not bugs eaten, it's just during cutting of the trees. So no even one bug eat this stuff because there's so much of pesticides used. Yeah, so it's completely different looking plantation. And here we can see the organic Shou plantation. Now the another plantation is completely different. Also crops a little bit bigger, but still much smaller than on not organic plantation. And behind me there is a Hualin. It's a local tree. I don't know how it's called in English actually. I just know that in Chinese it's Hualin. Very beautiful yellow flowers blooming. And here we see the Shou tea. Actually Shou translate like a Buddha hand, which is why it's a very huge leaf. Now you can see Shou. And this is organic plantation of Shou. Buddha hand. Yes, the hand of Buddha, Shou. And there also Shou, there's also a fruit with the same name, Shou. It's have a shape like this, a fruit maybe you've seen like a hand, but this is like just a leaf shape. And see, crops grow much slower than an organic plantation. You can see a lot of grass easily. Also here it's all hand cutted. A big difference how it looks like. You see all the grass, all of this stuff. After the harvesting, we see this small pile of leaves. 11 people harvested for almost whole day, and you can see not so much tea actually, just a bit, and they spent half of a day to harvest it. Yes, it's quite long. And now we have dithering, and it is kind of special type of dithering. We have a pile of this thick for almost 30-20 hours, almost till tomorrow.
it will be here, and after the next stages of processing happen. So longer withering is for increasing the aroma. And this is a Gaba machine. So the most important detail for vacuum fermented tea. It's made in Taiwan and it's fully Taiwanese technology for sure, but it's a little bit adapted by our friends. This is for 500 kilo of fresh leaf. But oh yo, it's heavy. We have in Georgia quite smaller version. Here we have like a smaller one. The smaller one is here. And this one is made in China, in mainland China. Yeah, it's pretty same technology, but just a little bit smaller. And yeah, later, so you make, firstly you make withering, after you put tea here for quite a long time. After you do shaking or yaoqing, and they use a special bamboo yaoqing machines. Yep. You see inside all the oil, all the oil. It's machines bought around 10 years ago, maybe even more, and they still use them. And now not so many people do this bamboo stuff because it's kind of old style, but they still do it old style because it's pretty much affects if you use more like modern materials, so it must be bamboo. Actually, for a factory in Georgia, we also brought the same, the traditional one, the bamboo. This is how it must be. So no holes at all. And here's with the holes, and they don't use it. We want to change to that version because all the buds fall down through its holes. So this is used only for bigger leaf material, not for smaller leaf. Now, after all the steps with Gaba processing, which I showed, so first we have cooling down, and after they put in Gaba machine and shaking, yaoqing, and after they have zhonyan and roasting at the same time. So we do it 5 times. We roast a little bit, and after that, press and roast and press and roast and press. And here actually we have a last step, which is a more traditional round. Make a round with a fabric kind of sphere. And to make a proper shape, the last step they do on this traditional machine. Actually, before it used these machines, the rolls, but now most of the factories don't use it because actually it's kind of useless, and also it's kind of difficult, and it's many people still think like it's considered as a more traditional way of production, but still it's more complicated. So we have more modern machines. Actually, this is not modern at all. Also, this is not super modern. Was the first presses. This machine is old Taiwanese made machine, and nowadays it's more advanced, bigger ones produced here in Fujian province. But yeah, after all these steps, the final is final drying by this dryer. That's it. And this is how must look real plantation. Again, you see the birds, the flowers, and no pesticides at all. Actually, this is Sedan variety. Sedan mostly used for Hong Pao, traditional Hong Pao production. And here guys also use for Shan Cha for Hong Pao, because Sedan is traditionally variety for Hong Pao. And they have only this small plot out of 3,000 mu. They have very small plot for maybe 50 zin, like about 20-30 kilo of ready product. And here we can see how it's made. So 8 people work whole year, yeah, like just to clean up the plantation from grass. Instead of fertilizers and pesticides and herbicides, they just do it by hands. Yeah, so this is how they work. Work pretty hard, but 8 people is enough to work all the plantation during a year. So that's quite significant job to do.
We all see how fast moves the development in China. And of course, the agriculture is not exemption from that narrative. Aboard the organic tea plantation, a drone at work. It's spraying a mixture of weir, lime, and copper sulfate, known as Bordeaux mixture. This treatment is done in winter, once in 3 or 4 years, then the bushes are dormant. Its purpose to reduce insect eggs, not to apply pesticides. The plantation has not used chemical agents for 25 years, and the teas are tested in laboratories each year. Pinghe County, Fujian Province. Here, every year in May and April, during the peak blossoming season of pomelo trees, the most fragrant and sweet-scented flowers are carefully picked through a thinning process and transported to the tea factory. The flowers are gently piled in the shade for about 40 minutes to let their aroma fully develop. The tea leaves evenly spread out, and a layer of fresh pomelo flowers is placed on top. The tea rests like this for about 1 hour, is mixed thoroughly, and then left for 8 to 10 hours, allowing the leaves to absorb the floral fragrance. Next, the mixture is dried, the flowers are sifted out, and the scented process is repeated 3 times to achieve a deep and pure pomelo aroma. After the final drying, the flowers are removed, leaving the tea with a delicate natural fragrance of pomelo, bright, fresh, and refined.
Now it's early morning on the factory and continue the processing of Oriental Beauty. Oolong was harvested yesterday right over here. We need a lot of hand shaking and I need to do it for several times during few hours, 3 times. Now it's the second time actually already, because the first time was very early morning. I was sleeping. And it's still done by hand, because if you do by machine can break the leaves and make it not so delicate. The most important fact about many oolongs, these stages like withering, yelching, kind of shaking the leaves, they're very important actually, and they made it looks like not very mechanized, not very advanced in some point, because it's still kind of shaking the leaves. What's happening? A lot of very important process happening, especially this small edge of the leaf is breaking from the end. This is more relevant to Chrysanthemum, not to oolongs like Oriental Beauty, but still. Also, you create kind of shape of a leaf with very delicate shaking. If you do it by machine, it will be not like that. It will be not such shape, it will be not such aroma. Now we on the way to Wuyishan. Actually, it's not so far. We now want to visit few organic farms nearby the city, big city actually. I was only once here, even if I'm very frequent visitor of Wuyi Mountains, and yeah, for sure all the rock oolongs and stuff, they quite familiar with it, and yeah, but still so much to explore in China over time. Yesterday we started travel with my friends and my wife actually, because they arrived here to visit me and to spend some time together. So now they are resting, and we continuing our work. Now we're in a factory here in Shan Cha, and actually in Shanwu, and it's our suppliers. We already worked for a couple of times with them, and we produce rock tea, and we produce also black tea, red tea. And now here is the withering stage of Mei Zhan variety of ginger Mei tea, which we also have in our assortment. I'm really proud about this tea, and you can see also the material. When it's organic, it's all the time a little bit different size of the buds, and it's really beautifully harvested and picked for sure. And now it's the first stage, withering. After withering, there's the rolling. Sometimes also do yaoqing or shaking, and after that they do fast drying. This is the main factory room actually. For after withering, they do the rolling here and the drying. Actually, drying is just over there. Two drying shelves, not too much, because for a small bud tea, you don't need to make. You need to have much more. But also for other types, for oolong varieties, they have yaoqing machines, shaking machines for fermentation, and more for drying. For bigger leaf, you have more machines for drying or for withering actually. So yeah, so this is a traditional factory. By the age of the equipment, I all the time can see how long the factory works. Actually, this factory, I'm not asked, but I'm sure it's about 30 years already operating. It means that they have good technology, because yeah, they had a time to develop it in a certain level, so that's great. We go to the other building and then we'll try some tea. In this room there's production of white tea, and white tea, actually Bai Mu Dan, white peony tea. The stages are quite simple. Many times when I described how the white tea produced, you just make withering 3 days and sometimes that's it. But here, many factories, they just make it differently. They also do 2-3 days withering, and after they do low temperature kind of drying. So it's about maybe, let me say, at 70 degrees, not so harsh temperature, to still preserve all the aroma and fragrance and everything. And after that, the tea is ready. So that's quite simple. After withering, we have just drying, that's it. So plucking, withering 3 days, drying, tea is ready. And Bai Mu Dan produced from many different varieties. Sometimes people use oolong tea variety to produce Bai Mu Dan. And here we use also one of oolong varieties to make white peony tea. Yeah, so I will try it for sure. And here is the final stages of tea production, when you actually make a selecting of material. Mostly it's made by machine, but also by hand. Here is a vibro machine which makes different fractions. Here we have a Wuyishan, or green needles. Very beautiful tea. The difference from Wuyishan, but have a similarity. It's just a green tea made with similar technology. And there was a small fraction which goes for just some, tea bags, something like that. But bigger fraction goes here. But yeah, this tea they produce only 400 kilos a year, so it's not so big amount of production, because only single bud tea. Now we on a testing room. So now we tried a few types of tea, the green tea, the black tea, and some white tea, and for sure I will take more samples, because this factory produces a lot of varieties. And I tried just recent teas for some green tea, which I really like. We now go to look around for a tea garden. It's such a great discovery all the time to see so many teas you can discover only if you own a factory, because they have so much, and if you don't ask directly, sometimes you don't have it. So you need to spend some time to research more and to learn more all the time. It's immersive process.
We arrived at plantation in Wuyi Mountains, nearby area, and this is organic plantation. One of the few actually in the area, because most of the rock tea not grown this way. It's organic. This is Zidane variety, and also a nearby area. If you go a little bit down, there is a big plantation for Zimai cultivar and some other rock cultivars, and not only. And you can see by the how the leaves looks like. Many of them eaten by the bugs. Yes, also the grass. But the main thing is the tests. we make a test for this plantation a couple of times, and it's all the time was really clean and nothing. The 40 years they do production of the tea here, and the last 20 years no fertilizers at all. So very experienced farmers, and very good area all around. It's a wild, inside wild protected area. So there are no any inhabitants. It's all 1000 mu, and here's quite beautiful. Very interesting fact I just recently heard from the farmer. This is Hong Pao variety 4th generation. So it's actually quite a rare variety, because most of the Hong Pao it's a blended tea, which is made from different local cultivars. And these local cultivars, they are kind of similar in taste and fragrance and aroma and everything to Hong Pao taste, original taste. But this Hong Pao, particularly these bushes, this is real Hong Pao cultivar, but it's a 4th generation. They're not yet grown, and we will harvest it around 2 weeks later. Yes, but this is actually a cultivar taken from original Hong Pao bushes, but was kind of between selections for 4th generation already. And this 4th generation bushes are here, quite rare actually. And this is also organic plantation, which is even more rare to see. I think one of the very few who grow the real cultivar of the Hong Pao bush. Here we're now in a factory which specialized in organic products, different organic products, and we try a few types of organic green tea. And this is single bud tea from Lunjin variety, and this is jasmine, jasmine tea, and also they produce this kind of flowers, also organic ones, very beautiful. It's quite rare actually for China to have organic stuff, so we're really interested to try more types. Especially this jasmine is very special because it's have a from local Jiangxi variety, and it's quite big leaf, very sweet floral, subtle aroma, so very enjoyable tea. And also we just finished to try this Danya single bud tea. This is just for personal consumption, small batch, kind of very first flush of single bud green tea, also local variety. And now we on a factory which produce chrysanthemum flowers, because we also do herbal tea, and they do organic chrysanthemum flowers here in Jiangxi province. And this factory, actually I start showing the factory from the huge fridge
Then they store all the flowers, actually, which is why I have this color t-shirt today. It's really fitting this wonderful day, because we today drinking flower tea. And here's minus 11 inside this huge fridge. They store all the flowers during a year, because the harvesting is in November, now it's April, and they have all the time fresh supply, because most of the flowers, most of the material store here. Actually, you can look, it's super huge, and it's very cold there. It's like minus 11. Yes, it's really cold. And the professional storage of material is like that. And actually, just for electricity for the fridge, the owner of the factory pay out around 60,000 of yuan a year. So it's quite significant investment, but it's very important for the quality of the tea. And this is the main facility for processing. Here a few machinery for processing the tea, for first stage of withering, also drying machines, like a Hong machine. And also this is a fermentation, facial. Actually, it's quite professionally made, because many fermentation facilities quite simple. Sometimes just baskets or something. Here's a special, like a shelves, closed one. And yeah, it's also we produce red tea, not only chrysanthemum flowers tea, but also red tea. You want to try it, black tea, how we can say it. You can control actually all the temperature and time and whatever. Here's rollers, here's withering. Also withering, actually, this machine is feeding withering for white tea, any type of withering. So we can produce many types of tea. Here also big dryers actually do very delicate drying or low temperature, because for chrysanthemum flowers you need to have certain quality of dryers. And there is have also explanation that their factory is the first in size European export to Europe. From here is the biggest chrysanthemum factory exporter. So we actually have some demand, some supply. And they specialize mostly in chrysanthemum flowers, as I told, but also they do green tea, red tea, some other varieties. They want a little bit expand in organic production. And here we have a special machine for tanbei, for baking of the tea. This technology step used mostly for rocolons, but also for other tea. And here they use it for black tea. And it's from Zhejiang University, recent discovery. They use a special heater inside. Inside you still use a bamboo basket, and you can also control the temperature. And this heating material not afraid if some tea dust fall down, so it will not burn. And also you can also close and open. And yeah, it's quite a different machine for Honbei. And here is the last stage, one of the most important ones. During the middle season, they packaging, actually, they pack the flowers. And actually, they need to select the flowers by the size. So they all the time select the biggest flowers, which is more important ones. The smaller flowers is a little bit more cheaper. And also the bigger flowers, they are supposed to have better taste. And this is why they sometimes even pack them in premium packages. And there's also some flowers which can be sold for hundreds of yuans, just few flowers. So it's also kind of premium level. Yeah, and they pack it all by hand, they sell it by hand, and also different types of flowers. Now we will try some rocolons. We have here 6 types. This is more kind of affordable tea, because this is tea not from the Zhejiang area, not from the inside of the rock area, Shan Cha from outside or from very close. So it will be 6 types. I see some Shui Xian, I see some Hong Pao, I see some Gui, different types. So we will try all 6 just to have a comparison. Actually, some of the types we already tried before. I just have 6 guy ones. That's wonderful. I just have the same time. And my idea is to not only compare, but to look the quality. Actually, with this supplier we work already 10 years. Last year we tested his tea for pesticides, and some of the tea not passed, sadly. So this tea we just now try the taste, but it will be not for our market, but we will try teas just to let him know which tea we like and from which plantation. From this year he start do sustainable farming, so maybe 2-3 years will take some process to change on his farming practices. I just love him because he do a lot of good tea technology wise, but sadly he need to change and adjust his farming style. So this is what our main goal for today. Don't scale because it's the same size guy one, so we use same size of the tea, and we have all the 6 varieties ready, and we will start brewing. Oh, so right now already brewing. We have 7 types of tea, and we will try them all to find a way to our cup from this tea. And yeah, this is first infusion. Most of the time we don't drink, but I want to just try a little. Just try a little how it looks like. So now we do the second infusion. First infusion we just drink a little bit, because actually first infusion regularly just wash, but now we try a bit more. So it will be second infusion, which is quite reflecting the best out of tea, maybe delicacy and more kind of details about tea. Now we on a matcha factory, and it's not yet season for processing because we're a little bit early. Just 1 week later we'll start processing of the tea, and here we have 2 fully automated lines for processing the semi-product for matcha. This is called Shan Cha, and this is Japanese, fully made in Japan, and first company is this factory who brought it to mainland China from Japan. And here is a Chinese made line. For more premium quality it is this Japanese line. It's fully automated, but still you need to control over temperatures, and yeah, so still some technologies needed for the processing. Yeah, and the processing will start pretty soon. Here we see like the fresh leaf comes through all the steps from just firstly just still selecting and shaking, and later thermal stages, let me say. I'm not so big profession in matcha, let me say. I'm just also learning because we do tea for quite 20 years but with matcha I started being in touch for the last 2 years only. And it's one of the first factories which we're visiting. I already went to factories in Guizhou, but this is actually our first supplier from Fujian province. Here we see Miyamura, the factory for processing. Yeah, and we will for sure discover more later. Yeah, but now we can see how it's all one line. This is one of the most important parts. So this is a Japanese last stage dryer for Shan Cha, for semi-product, and this actually costs 4 million yuan, so it's quite a lot. It's almost $500,000, maybe something 500,000, maybe even more. Yeah, so that's really important. And inside we can have a look. What's inside? Wow, this is a dryer. Wow. So the all in Shan Cha is inside, I think. We can see now nothing because it's not operating, but that's very important machine. Even the handles, I feel Japanese quality in the handles feeling. We will have a small walk in the mountains of Wuyi, my classical road through the Lantan village. Hopefully it will be a great day today, very sunny, really nice weather.
The main reason why rock tea is so unique, it's actually the rock formations behind me. This is a special kind of rock which is all the time kind of destroyed because of nature affects it, and actually we see a lot of small stones came to the soil. The soil is very good aerated by the stones, and also the mineral compounds inside the stones is quite significant, important. So this is why we can say that the rock tea is really rock tea. The rock formations in the Wuyi Mountains create unique microclimate, because if it's even during the day quite hot and sunny, during the evening and early morning, in the night there's some fog and cooling down came from the mountains. So you can see, like over here, early morning, if you climb on the top of the hill, you can see absolutely wonderful uni high. It means see all the clouds, how it's called properly, and that's really fascinating. That's how old Shui Xian bushes looks like. You can see it's taller than me, maybe 2.5, 3 meters. Sometimes they all the time 80 years plus age, and here you can see the buds. The buds not ready, so maybe during 2-3 weeks they will be harvested. One of the most precious tea of rock area, because it's all bushes and it's very complex taste, let me say. You can see the cut crops, and here just actually you see a lot of new bushes just planted, and they was planted because actually some crops they change for new cultivars quite often, because old cultivars became kind of less resistant to some bugs and also less productive, so they often cut off old crops. But also not only because of that, just because crops became older and they just grow new ones. It's from plantation to plantation, it can be from 8 to 15 years. Sometimes they keep it longer. Certain cultivars like Shui Xian, we can stay like for many decades, even more than 100 years also. But in this case, you need to sell tea more expensive because you harvest much lower amount. Huyuan Temple, one of the most special places in Wuyi Mountains. I love it a lot, visiting quite frequent. It's on a tourist path, so it's very difficult to miss it if you're in a Wuyishan rock area visiting. The monastery have almost 1,000 years old history. For sure it was rebuilt out after cultural version, but it has one of the most, let us say, vibing atmospheres from all the monasteries here in the rock area. I really love it a lot. We here on one new supplier, actually just to try somewhere wild tea here in Wuyishan, and they have some plantation which was not Guan China in the plantation which was not no one care about it in terms of fertilizers and other stuff. This is kind of wildish tea, which was like high mountain area for 70 years, no one harvesting, and there was occurs some
much higher costs. But here the problem is that, for example, if we do the same tea like in southern Fujian, northern Guangdong, some other areas, and they are really wild bushes, so it's wild cultivars which are not grown by man before. So took from the forest and grown, for example, but these cultivars are different, a little bit more bitter and quite specific in terms of taste. But here we try the tea is still kind of same like regular plantation tea by taste. Yeah, it's clean, but the taste no difference. But the price, like, yeah, significantly higher, like 4 or 5 times. So this is why, yeah, we didn't buy here anything, because the tea is good, but we can have the same organic tea from plantation, because there are organic plantations, and if you buy wild tea, it must be really different in terms of taste, because as soon as you try wild tea, this slight, very thin, very delicate bitterness occur, and you can see this roundness, and you can see how the taste develops much differently. So this is why, yeah, we just tried, but decided we need to go. We didn't buy anything here. We tried 2 times, actually no, 6 times, but with black tea also I think not enough for me, not enough mastership in technology. So I also advise to add some different type of drawing of rolling, and different type of shaking the leaves during withering, after withering. So to add some more advanced technology, in this case red tea will be much sweeter and more fragrant and more aromatic and so on. And the rock tea they do actually Qinghuo, light roasting, light baking, let me say. And this step, yeah, it's also you need to make it more advanced, but also it affects the storage. This is a factory of porcelain, so we now will look and inspect one of our goods, actually the cups. Here we do glazing.
It's fully automated production. Such a huge room, actually with a few lines, only a few personnel working, maybe like no more than 10-15 people. We produce tens of thousands of goods a day and a pretty precise quality. This is goods which can be produced by machine, fully automated. It's still more traditional technology when you use it for the morsing. This is a previous generation that we have the same production, but half automated, not fully automated. And this kind of job still need to do manually. This can be made fully automated because of the shape. Here's the glazing process, and she actively preparing to glaze the goods. This line is also fully automated. The only thing made by hand is to actually assemble the goods, but all the rest is fully automated line. It's for low temperature firing. Here we see actually the glazing, but with actually spraying glaze kind of.
Вот так вот выглядит готовый продукт. We're now climbing the most tall mountain of southern Fujian, Minnan Zhuigaofan. And here we see this trolley. This trolley is specially made for delivering the tea leaves from the plantation, which is a little bit up there. It made quite recent. Actually, I was here last year. It was not yet ready, but they just made it recently. Good idea actually, because to climb for the leaves and to bring them down is quite a tough job to do, so yeah, they make it a little bit easier. Beautiful place. I was here last year, but we want to climb it again and drink some tea for sure upstairs.
We're now on the tallest mountain of southern Fujian, drinking some tea. Actually, it's all the time great pleasure to drink some tea in such a places. And this is also, we have a smoky area, smoke and fog, and the clouds just right over here. We have a cloudy evening. First I wish to have some sunrise, but not now. And we drink some tea. Yes. Such a beautiful atmosphere here. What I like in any kind of nature places, not only in China. It's just such a calming atmosphere. And this atmosphere is perfect for tea for sure. Actually, during any travels, to have some tea with you, and especially not just a bottle, but real set, real tea. That makes a completely different experience out of life, out of enjoyment, and you have attentive drinking, and you point your attention on any tiny detail of nature, of observing the beauty of nature. That's absolutely fascinating.